Ha! Told y'all every episode I'm doing it. Welcome back to another episode of Monday Manna. Super excited to have my friends here with me. Here to my left, we got.
Hi, I'm Tiffany.
Big Maya.
My name is Hezekiah Walker.
Come on, the shouter.
I'm just like, my name is
New titles. You ready for it? We coming with the new titles.
What's your name, Donnie McClure?
And I'm Rosa Parks.
And I hope he watches this episode.
I hope he do too. What's your name, Donnie McClure? That's my name.
Anyway, we're glad to be back. I know Church Scars was a doozy. I know. I've been watching y'all comments. Y'all been hitting us up. I pray it blesses you. Watch it as much as you want. And I promise you, we'll be right here if you got any comments. Again, we do have a Monday Manna group. Feel free to throw those comments in there or just jump in the comment section of anything we post, and we'll be right there with you. And if you want to join the table, feel free to like Life Table on YouTube or on Facebook or anywhere else you find us. Right?
Everywhere.
The Life Table. You're welcome to join. I want to jump right into it. I feel like we're in a season where we need to have this conversation. I just want you to think about what's this week alone, what's one response that you know was influenced by something else? What's one thing that you know? Whether it was a social media post, hello, because I know that right there.
Yeah.
Or something somebody said, or something somebody done, or some situation that made you respond in a way that made you say, whoa, my goodness. That's what I want to talk about tonight. Tonight, for this next month, I want us to talk about triggers. I feel like we're in a very triggering season where there are just things and situations that seem to elicit responses, and if we're not careful, we can respond in such a way that we regret, or we can find ourselves being controlled by things that trigger us. So let's set the table. I'm gonna jump right into it, guys. I want to talk about, what's one thing that you feel like has triggered your life here recently? I mean,
We just pick one?
I mean, whatever.
just pick one.
I think I got a good trigger. Y'all know that Monica song, Here We Are Face to Face. What in a memory that can't be erased. That's all I know. But every time I hear that song,
Come on, no.
it takes me back to like my childhood. I can see me riding in the back seat, looking out the window, and thinking about nothing. And it just reminds me of times where I didn't have any worries. And when I hear that song, I just feel like, man, I wish sometimes I could be back there.
Wow.
Yeah. I love that we started with a good trigger,
Yeah.
like a nostalgia trigger.
expecting
Like,
that.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, triggering moments can be good or bad.
Right.
Right? Y'all got one?
I mean,
She had a good one.
welcome to girl drama. But, so
Lord.
the friend group recently has had a little spat, right? So two parties have a little blow up. Fair, girls fight all the time. The second party, the victim, as she would like to be in this situation, then approached me to thusly drag the first party. Not the worst thing in the world, because girls need to bounce a lot of things off of each other, right? We're very communicative in that space. But one of the things that came up was very much an attack on the other person's faith and where they are in their walk. Triggered. I was like, that's a different conversation, right? Like, that's really hurtful to assign to somebody. So,
Trigger. You just triggered me.
you
And
triggered me.
this is why I say that. One of my biggest triggers is disrespect or disregard to my faith.
For sure.
And being on a college campus and like involved, you have that standing like it's questioned and it's challenged. Why do you believe this? Why do you think this? That is a trigger for me, because then I go down a rabbit hole. Now let me encourage you, and let me learn you.
Let me learn you now.
Let me equip you with what I have. Like that's a trigger for me.
No,
I'm
I feel
sorry.
that. I
It
feel
just
that
triggered
deeply.
me.
I mean, triggers can affect how you see yourself and you see other people. So triggers have the ability to really challenge our perspective. That's really what it is. It really is. A trigger challenges your perspective. But the hope is that even if you feel overwhelmed by triggers, I want to pose that God never leaves us in our triggers.
For sure.
Even if you feel like you're not in control, I hope after this month that you can get some sense of control over the things that have triggered you, good or bad, that you know it can take some sense of control over that. So what's on the menu, Makai? What's on the menu tonight?
Peter.
Oh,
Peter is on the menu tonight.
Switchblade Peter.
First Peter. Oh, so dumb.
Good name
Hey,
for
Peter
him.
is crazy.
First Peter.
Peter.
Peter's on the menu. First Peter 5. I'm gonna read it verbatim because I
Okay.
don't like messing up scripture. But it's 8 through 10. Stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. My takeaway: stay woke.
Come on.
Like, you got to learn your own triggers, because what the enemy will do is use your triggers against you. And if you don't have a control over it, it will have a control over you.
That's it. And we've all been there, right? Where you don't even know what's setting somebody off. It's just like they are walking on a minefield, dealing with them.
Or do you one better? You walk into a space and you ask somebody what's wrong with you, and they can't tell you what's wrong with them.
Don't even know.
That part.
We moving right in because the ingredients, the first ingredient that you need to have to actually conquer this is to understand the root of your triggers. And that's really where we started this. If you're going to just be hurt and bleed on everybody and lose your top on everything, it's never going to work. If you can't walk it back in the instance and say, like, what actually is upsetting you? Am I being insecure? Was that offensive? Was it disrespect? Am I being ashamed of something? Am I unhealed in a space? Is this just an insecurity? Like, you'll hurt everybody just for being unhealed yourself,
For not knowing the root.
for not knowing the root of it.
I learned a lot of my triggers through therapy.
sure.
I had got to a point where I was just angry and sad just all the time. And I finally went to therapy, and then they were asking me questions about, not that he was asking me questions about, what about your childhood? Were you at work? What about this? And then he started teaching me about my personality. I didn't know what my personality type was. So now that I know that I'm an analytic, I know somebody else that's not an analytic that can trigger me. But I can't, knock them from being different from my
Right.
personality trait. So I know that about me. So I know when it happens, I'm not saying, oh, this person, they just being sensitive. I'm like, they thinking differently
That's
than
a
I
different
am.
lens.
That's a different lens. They receiving it differently.
That's Matthew. Scripture out of Matthew that says the light is the eye is the lamppost to the soul, kind of a thing, right? And an eye that is perceiving well will be full of light. But if you are filled with darkness, how great will that darkness be in you, right?
That part.
That's perfect for that. Like, I think
So
perception really weighs heavily on how people tread through life and how they go about, like, navigating their own triggers. Because most people just assume triggers are always a bad thing. And in turn, you make your new boundaries and whatnot. But more often than not, people become callous.
Right.
You just get bitter. You just create complete walls where they should have been fences, right?
Yeah.
Or gates to allow the access for the right things. You just completely cut off.
But what I also heard from Tiffany, though, is you got to put the work in to learn yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's why you're triggered in your relationships, in your friendships, because you don't even know what you bring to the space.
What's the root?
And you don't know the root. And so you walking around mad at the world. You ever met them people that just mad for no reason? You feel like they wake up on the wrong side of the bed every day, and they can't explain to you they don't know their personality trait. They don't know their triggers.
And I mean, it could be stemming from your brother hit you with a double reverse in Uno and got out in the second grade, and you just really feel like he attacked you. Like, it can be something very minuscule. But if you go to therapy, you'll find when you walk back slowly, a lot of your root thing is very small. You were made to feel a way one time, and it was for you in your development became a framework. And that's what we're trying to do, is get you to see, where does my framework fall that I'm delicate, that I'm vulnerable. The same thing with temptations.
Right.
Where do my desires lead me astray? Where's my attitude leading me astray?
Wow.
Where's my perception leading me astray? I think that's fire, personally.
I think about root. The concept of roots is you can't grow on bad roots.
Oh.
Like, I think we have expectations of ourselves, and our ambition can sometimes be hindered by what we don't know we're rooted in. That
Okay.
makes sense. And
Like
so-
being rooted in bad philosophy.
Exactly. So
Okay.
when you get to a certain point, I
See what I
think
did
there are certain situations that expose triggers you didn't know. Right. And I think it happens even in the corporate environment. Even when we're trying to climb the corporate ladder and we're trying to look at opportunities, in certain situations, you don't know how bad roots can cause you to miss out on certain things.
Wow, that's a great lead into the next ingredient. What
on.
influence your triggers?
Okay.
So have y'all ever, or what's a practical way that you've renewed things that trigger you?
Still actively working on that.
Okay. I would say my biggest trigger probably would be grief, right? And like we were saying earlier, like that's pretty common right now, and it comes in batches, it comes in waves, and it's not something that you quickly come to terms with, and you'll find yourselves like, I'm 10 years removed from losing my dad, and I'll find myself still seeing a video of like a girl and her father on her wedding day, shambles. You know, and I think I'm in a good place, you know, like to answer the question, practically, when I find myself triggered, I try to pivot to something that I consider warm. But I want to say that's Philippians would say, to stay your mind on what's true, what's pure, what's noble, all that kind of thing. I try to pick something better to dwell on from it. So in the moment, I'm triggered with the grief of missing my dad. And then I have to stop and flip that into what a gift it was to have such a great dad.
Right.
Yeah.
For as long as I did. People have living fathers that aren't good parents.
Right.
Let alone that never knew their fathers. Like, there is still gratitude even in the trigger that I can appreciate being triggered. You know, what I think it's a quote that says, "What is grief but love abounding?" And that really comforts me a lot. Like, if you didn't love it, it wouldn't hurt that bad.
Man,
Right.
listen. I think for me, it's the pregnant pause.
Oh,
I think
Teach
there
'em,
was a-
Doc. Teach 'em,
there was
Doc.
a time in my life. James says, "Be slow to speak and quick to listen." I've learned to, and I am learning to pause and not feel triggered to respond, because I think I think manipulative people can learn to adapt and benefit from your negative triggers. Let me say that again.
that was hefty.
Manipulative
part.
people can learn to adapt and manipulate how they know you're going to respond. And we live in an environment where politically and even in the rap world, I ain't going to say his name, where we now say things to elicit response in order to PR the moment or monetize the moment.
Okay.
Like, I'm seeing that a lot, where we don't care how that made people feel. We don't care who that trashed. We don't care who kids those were. We just said it because we're monetizing your triggers. And I think we have to be careful not to let people use our immature triggers. Let me say that again. Who this took a turn?
Man.
I think I'm helping somebody. I don't know who watching. You pulling me. Stop letting people take advantage of your immature triggers.
Stop falling into trigger traps.
Trigger traps.
Trigger
Come
traps.
on, man.
We gotta
That's
mix
it.
it up, man.
The trigger traps.
These are trigger traps.
Because we fall into these patterns where we're triggered, so I feel like I have to respond.
Talk.
What a cycle.
Sometimes your best response is nothing. Feel your emotions, feel your offense, and still say nothing. Because then our responses trigger something else in somebody else. Like, it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
Right.
And now, what started off as my trigger, it offended me. My response now triggers Maya. Her response now triggers D. D's response now triggers Tiffany, based off of something that I started.
Right.
It's a domino effect.
And none of us are better for
Well,
it.
go back
And-
to her
and
example.
nobody-
That's what happened in her example.
Nobody's better.
She called her to get a trigger from her to affirm the trigger that she had.
Yeah, the trigger that you laid.
It's a trigger.
Was offensive.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a cycle of trigger traps. I like that.
That's fire. Trigger traps is
And now the whole group is in a cycle
That
of trigger
part.
traps.
Right.
Right.
That part.
And that's how we get stuck in cycles.
Right. So what I'm hearing is know your trigger traps, so you don't get shot by people that's trigger happy.
You got to say it again.
I think that's what I heard.
You got to say
I'm
it
about to
again.
get up and run.
You got to say it again.
5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, it's a shout. What? It's
I
a shout.
said, so what you got to do, you got to know your trigger traps, so you don't get shot by people that's trigger happy.
Oh, Sila. Woo.
Cut.
I am done.
Cut. this off.
Say it one more time. You got this, please. One more
For the
time.
people in the back.
Yeah,
Okay,
for the people
okay,
in the back.
okay.
Lord have mercy.
So you
T-shirts coming
gotta
soon.
know your trigger traps, so you don't get shot by people that's trigger happy.
And we walking around here shot and don't even know it.
Man. We target practice for somebody because we don't.
Oh, Tiff, you
paid
ate that.
attention. Man, listen here.
You ate that.
Listen here.
Jesus.
I'm stuck, bro. I'm like trying to be okay.
I'm like, smack you the scripts.
How many people in your friend circles have you not rebuked because they trigger happy?
Are you trigger happy?
Are you?
I was about to say, take it to personal reflection. Are you, in fact, trigger happy?
Are you the assailant?
Oh,
Are you shooting
we
everybody?
all
You
want to
don't
be
wanna shoot
offended.
everybody.
And that's such a takeaway because everybody wants to be offended all the time. You love to be the victim. You could be very trigger happy, friend. It could be you setting off everything.
And it's
Or be the
those-
one blowing up on everything.
It's
Like,
those friends that because I'm mad, I'm expecting everybody in my friend group to be mad.
we ride at dawn.
Like,
Inherit this
not
beef.
everybody got to be triggered because I'm
Inherit
triggered.
this beef. That's what they want.
I don't.
I love, and that was the other part of it. It was like, oh, you think I'm finna side with you?
I got to side with you.
Oh no, ma'am. I'm siding with the
I
truth.
get you hurt and offended, but
And said that, right? That's where people don't want accountability. They don't want to hold any part of the offense. They just really want to be the victim. Because it's easier to be at, the person offended than it is to admit you are in fact offensive.
You know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing unforgiveness.
yeah.
Took it
That's
there.
what I keep hearing. I think we have to be honest. Here's how you know you bitter and you not healed. You bitter when you the trigger happy person.
Mm-hmm.
You bitter when everybody gotta keep rehearsing the same situation with you when we all done moved on.
That's it.
Cause you want us all to be triggered like you.
You trigger happy when people have to say, oh, that's just how D is. No, ma'am. D needs to grow up. D needs to deal with that.
D need to go therapy.
But if you're the person that everybody always has to say, oh, you just know how they are, that's just,
Oh, my God.
they're not,
If we're used to it,
you are triggering, friend. But just because we're normalizing things does not make that okay. It just does not make it okay.
Oh, this recipe tonight, Jesus Christ.
Eating them up.
but that also means there has to be some truth to it
Gotta be in the truth.
Say more.
because you have a trigger, and I'm going to speak to Gen Z. When we talked about it, and I'm going to back it all the way up to one. The root, what is a root? You can't see a root most of the time, right? And a lot of times, we as a generation, we will only address what we see. We will address what we can visibly see. I see your hurt, let me address the hurt. Not the root of the hurt.
Symptoms.
We address the
Only address
symptoms.
the symptoms.
We address,
Not
but
the
we don't.
ailment.
But the problem, because there's an element of truth that we neglect. Like I don't want you to know my real truth behind why I'm triggered.
Ah.
I don't want
Wow.
to tell you why I'm triggered in real life. So let me just say it's grief. Let me just say I'm crying because I had a bad day, not because I'm dealing with some things on the inside that I don't necessarily want you to know about.
Right.
Do you owe everybody your roots?
Do
No.
Get your mic, we leaving.
I'm serious. That's a genuine question.
No.
I'm in a season. I don't owe you my roots. And some people, here's what I'll say. Y'all done triggered me. Entitled people get on my nerves.
Jesus.
This cup need to run over.
Because some people feel entitled to know your triggers.
Yes.
Because you're my
And
friend.
your truth.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm in your circle, so I got to know all your business.
Because there is no more intimacy than information.
Talk, man. Say that again.
No more. Come on. That nothing will send you. If I could tell you right now where your wife is, you would be offended.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just a little
Why
bit.
don't you know where
Right,
your wife
that-
is?
right. You
It's
know,
not-
you not
nothing's
know.
more intimate than information. And people want to be close to you, really, just to gather information.
Just so they can say, I knew first.
Come on. Come on.
Okay, y'all, at home, y'all, Selah. I know this a lot. Just take a minute. Because I feel like we having surgery tonight.
Yeah. We stepping on some landmines for sure.
But somebody in the friend group got to be the one that just doesn't go along to get along. Like so you have to somebody
a
has to be
lamppost.
the one that says, okay,
Call it
enough
to the
is enough.
light every
Now, we
time.
all can't sit around here triggered.
That's it.
we really
Everybody can't be triggered.
Like, if every time you get around your friends and all y'all can do is complain and feed off of each other's mess and drama, somebody has to stop the cycle. Somebody got to leave the playground eventually.
Yeah.
But how easy is it to be that person though?
It's hard. I'm that person that left the friend
Yeah.
group.
Say it again.
It's hard to be the one that left.
It's hard to be the one to
Okay.
leave because it's like, I mean, y'all were connected for a reason. Y'all friends at some point. You know, we connected. We have a, you know, but
Some
it's
kind of
like
bond.
some kind of bond. So when you have to leave, it's like you get put in the wilderness by yourself, and it's like then you see those friends out hanging and having fun, but it's like it ain't really what it seems. So you have to like program your brain to be like you made a good decision because then the devil know your trigger as well. He know that you bored.
Yeah.
He know that
He know
you
you
know
missed
what I'm
the squad.
saying that you missed the squad sometimes. So he gonna show you what's happening on Instagram, the social media, the good parts that they can pick out of what's
Right.
happening. But deep down inside, I remember when I was there, I already know what's going on and what the conversation,
truth really
what the
is.
truth is, and what the conversation's about.
I made the mistake of being enticed by the illusion of happiness of a group I probably left. I've made that mistake before,
Okay, let's hear it.
where it looked like, oh, y'all good, y'all having fun, I'm missing out, only to go back and be re-triggered.
Right.
FOMO
It takes
got you.
time. It takes
Real
time.
talk.
Yeah.
FOMO got you.
Right. You
It's a process.
that,
It is.
that
It's a process.
FOMO is real. And how many times have we gone back trying to get back what we lost,
Yep.
only to be re-triggered?
Because everything that is familiar and comfortable seems to always be wrapped up in those things that are triggering.
Whew.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we classify things as triggers when they're really fears. Like,
Teach, teacher.
Like, for example,
Ooh.
Tiffany just talked about how sometimes it's hard to be that person. It's hard to be the odd one out the group that makes that conscious decision for themselves. And it's for some, it's easy to just say, "Oh, I'm triggered by y'all," when it's just I'm scared to step out on my own. Like everything is not a trigger.
That's a word.
Everything is not a trigger.
I think that's what comes with tracing the roots of your trigger. Is you can
Right.
figure out what was a fear, what
Is
was
this
an
a fear?
insecurity,
Is it a trigger?
what was a disrespect, or what was a shame. Okay.
Was this me? Was
Yeah.
it somebody else? Did I encounter something? Did I pick this
Accountability.
up along the way? Show me, and a lot of times my prayer has been, God, show me where I picked this up.
So I can put it down.
You know what I mean? So I can like retrace my steps. Okay, this is where I went wrong. This is where I picked up this habit.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between a trigger and a fear? I think a trigger
That's good.
can be good or bad, right?
Yeah.
A trigger doesn't necessarily have to be things, but it's something that elicits a response. I think fear is paralyzing.
Okay.
I don't think fear always leads to a response, or the response that it's taking is a retraction,
I
or
like
an
it.
avoidance, or a delay, or procrastination. For me,
I would almost say that triggers are an automatic, like an autoimmune kind of a situation. You have no control over a trigger. You know what I mean? That's an unsolicited response. You just feel this in the instance. It is what it is.
Right.
Can't deny it. Can't run from it. Here it is, your trigger. I think fear, if I'm being honest, fear is a decision. Are you allowing the water in the boat? Is it washing over you? Are you getting overwhelmed with something? Are you fantasizing this? Are you now creating something bigger than what it even is? Is it anxiety? You know, I think that's where fear takes off. I think fear is a little bit more of a conscious decision, even when you don't mean for it to be.
Right.
Whereas a trigger, you can't help what triggers you.
but I like what Makai was saying about our last recipe item, was the truth.
Yeah.
Is that the truth can set you free from the bondage of a lot of triggers that have been detrimental.
Sure.
That when you find the truth in Jesus Christ, it can create a sobriety that gives you the perspective you need to be able to differentiate when I'm fearful, when I'm triggered detrimentally, and when I'm triggered to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question for y'all. Can people be triggers?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
In what way?
Oh yeah. Someone's presence can be a trigger.
Say more. The thought of somebody can be a
I
trigger.
mean, shorty. Anytime my ex shows up in my "Do you know them?" I do not know that man. Stop reminding me. Like it's a person. It's a whole human trigger. Yeah.
People can be triggering. Because people be peopling sometimes.
People be people.
And sometimes people don't even know that they be peopling.
Oh, people
They just be.
peopling.
And I do think that sometimes people can be triggering and they don't know that they're triggering. So, for example, I know we kind of talked about grief. Lost my granddad about 1.5 years ago. So it's fairly fresh. And then you have people who have great intentions, who will bring up memories and they'll bring up all those things. And I know you mean well, but I go, right now?
Not right now.
Really?
Not right now.
Is this the best
Yeah.
time? And you don't mean no harm by it,
No.
but now I'm triggered. Now you went on about your business. Now I messed up.
Right.
Now my whole day is
You just
wrong.
had a warm and fuzzy feeling of this one time, and you left me with that.
And you
Like,
left me with that.
Yeah.
What's
feel
happy
that.
for you is what's sad
What
for
way
me.
for me? Yeah.
I think grief is interesting because, like I said, as we filmed this episode, I just lost my granddad. So, I don't like when people don't let you process your grief triggers. Like, it's going to take me a minute. You know what I mean? Like, trying to minimize, oh, you'll be all right.
He lived a long life.
The
Come
most
on, get outta
triggering.
here.
The most triggering. Do you need anything?
What can you give
I had
me?
to stop asking people
What
that.
can you give me?
What can you give me?
That's so
Shall you
insensitive.
hand me back my granddaddy?
Shall
do you
you
It's
hand me
so
back?
rude.
Do you need anything? Do you?
No. What can I do for you now? Because clearly we're taking. Yeah.
Call me if you need anything.
Because right now, I don't know up from down. And you think I'm going to say, let me see if Dee would like to make me some lasagna.
And you gonna have chicken in every type of way.
Come on.
Man, listen.
Come on.
But like people, it's really people can be
People so
triggered.
inconsiderate.
And we're just talking about grief. We're not even talking about breakups
Or real traumas.
or real traumas. Like life be lifing.
Yep.
So you have people who don't mean any harm, but then you do have people that try to set you off on purpose.
Yep.
Because they need their response.
Yep.
And so I found myself having to go back to scripture. So I don't know like what scriptures work for you all when you are trying to overcome like what truth do you find in scripture when trying to overcome your triggers?
Peace. That's the promise of peace for me. Anytime that I'm like, this is overwhelming me, these are the feelings, we feel our big feelings, the Lord will give me peace. So anything outside of that, we have to dismiss it. I'm reminded immediately that the Spirit of God will give me peace. And that settles it more often than not.
I think mine is with everything. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Sometimes I just have to repeat it. It be for all types of situations.
The repeat, do it.
Any situation, I can do all things through Christ. I can get past this. I can get past this trigger. I can get past this annoying. I can get past this person. Help me, God, please. I beg, please. Help me.
And it's
My trigger playlist is this.
You got a playlist?
I do,
Trigger
because
playlist.
this is a thing.
The pastor.
So
Might
my
need to
trigger
heal. Got a
playlist
playlist.
is my one scripture says, "Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks." And so the reason why that's important because of this second scripture, I'm gonna show you how I play. James says, "Be slow to speak and quick to listen." Why am I being slow to speak and quick to listen? Because I'm assessing where your heart is and where you're speaking from.
A word.
And so if I'm quickly responding, I don't give myself enough time to assess where you're speaking from. And I've made the mistake of speaking too soon and cutting, where I should have just held off and understood the context in which somebody was speaking. And there's times where maybe I should have spoke up, and I've let something linger that I needed to
Address then.
right? And so I think we have to be mindful of where people speak from. Those are my two. And then the last one, I think, is the Philippians text.
Goes
Don't be
crazy.
anxious about anything, but in all things with prayer, supplication, with thanksgiving, to make your requests known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and your mind. What Paul is saying is, don't let your anxiousness cause you to forget to pray.
Yep.
Right.
Let your anxiousness immediately trigger a trust in God to pray first.
That's it.
I want to say, how many times have we been triggered to do something when we should have just prayed?
Yeah.
True.
Right? And so I think triggers, I think we have to be mindful of our triggers, especially in this political environment. Because sometimes you could be triggered to say stuff on social media that you're going to regret later. Or sometimes you may be triggered by a soul tie.
Soul ties.
That's a whole nother different, a whole nother different
My
series.
business again.
People can be triggered. And so if I'm tied to somebody, they have the power to elicit a certain type of response.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So I would say be careful what you attach yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
Who you attach yourself to. And what power have you given people to trigger you in this season?
I like how you said this season
Yeah.
because it on my trigger playlist,
Come on.
Romans 8:18.
Eat 'em up.
For I consider that our present sufferings are not worthy to be compared to the coming glory that will be revealed to us. What I'm triggered by now and today don't have to be what I'm triggered by tomorrow. Like my current triggers and my current situation won't always be like this.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to make up in my mind, when am I going to stop being offended and triggered by the same thing?
Wow.
It's one of those things to where, and the reason I asked the question to the group was because we can be triggered, but we also have to have something to stand on.
Yeah.
Like, when in those moments when we are triggered, I'm glad that we all had an answer to that question of what scripture, can we stand on in those moments where I'm not reacting emotionally, but everybody don't have that.
Right.
Like, sometimes we're triggered and it causes us to just, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm finna go off. I'm about to scream.
Talk.
And I'm glad that we all have our individual scriptures. You have to have a scripture to stand on.
Yeah.
Or something to stand on to where you're not acting out of emotion and you're not overreacting, or you're not being over dramatic and all those things. Everybody don't have that. Especially, I'm speaking from a generational thing. We don't stand on scripture like we supposed to.
Well, I think we live in a trigger normalizing culture. I think it's a TikTok culture, like 30-second, 10-second popcorn.
Microwave satisfaction.
Yeah, like we think
Move on, feel good.
Exactly. I think we don't value silence and pausing enough.
No. Trust the process is just a cute slogan. We want the process to be about 3 minutes or under. Like,
Right.
It's got to be quick.
Right. And then we expect God to be triggered by our foolishness.
Getting out of
We
that.
try to trigger God to give us stuff that we ain't ready for. Right?
Careful what you ask for.
Right? And sometimes it's just being still. Like, I'm in a season now where God's like, just be still with me. And when I'm still with him, when I start my day to be still with him, I'm at a better place to not be triggered.
Yeah.
Versus
peace
just
abounds.
going through the motions, right? So, anyway, what's
That
in
was
your
heavy.
to-go box, y'all?
been heavy.
What's in the to-go
That
box?
was heavy, man.
This whole
What we taking home?
episode been heavy.
Man, I'm taking Makai's. That breaking of the cycle. At what point are you making the decision to, I'm not going to live that way. I'm not going to be set off by everything like that. Like, that's solid, and that weaponizing scripture. I think if you don't learn to weaponize anything else, weaponize your prayers and weaponize your scripture, because it'll get you out of most situations, if not all.
That's true.
Like, if not all. Standing on the word and calling on the main line, it works every time. Like, thanks for that.
I think I'm gonna take away.
Okay.
Learning yourself is peace. No, learning yourself is healing, and healing is peace.
Say it again.
What day,
In the
baby?
night, dog.
We filming at night from now.
Learning yourself is healing, and healing is peace.
That's beautiful.
I love it. Okay.
I'm taking Tiffany's. I can't repeat it, but it's the trigger happy
I was
trigger.
finna say
The trigger.
Be
can't say
lyric.
what I'm about to say.
You gotta
Oh,
say
y'all
it
take it
again.
down home.
Say it again.
Yes. What was it?
What is it? Know your trigger.
Know your trigger traps.
Know your trigger traps, so you don't get shot by people who's trigger happy.
Trigger happy.
That's what I'm taking in my.
That's my to-go box as well.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to
Say it
watch
one more
out for
time
the
so
trigger
I
happy.
can close.
All right. Know your trigger traps, so you don't get shot by people who's trigger happy.
That's it right there. That's trigonometry for you.
Trigonometry.
That's trigonometry for you.
Listen, merch is flying all over the place today. Flying. Listen,
Get yours today,
know your
trigonometry.
trigger traps so you're not
Trigonometry.
shot by trigger happy people.
We'll be doing a TikTok
My-
university course.
Yes.
Trigonomics.
Trigonomics. Here's my to-go box. Is that, but I want to encourage your heart.
Man.
This has got to be the last season you keep getting triggered like that. There's got to be a time. This has got to be the last season where you stop letting people control your emotions. I'm saying that to me, and I'm sharing it with you because God expects us to mature. Stop letting people intoxicate you with their problems and their drama and their agenda and their expectations. It's got to come a point in your life where you give yourself permission to pause and maybe not even respond. You know the biggest flex? Y'all give me a point of personal privilege. I'm encouraging somebody.
Come on.
You got it.
The biggest flex in this season for me has been silence
For sure.
and popping out randomly.
Sometimes you gotta pop out and show.
That's my mantra this year. Sometimes you just gotta pop out and show them. But in order to pop out, you can't always be out. Now, if you always out, you're not popping out.
Ain't no pop.
Ain't no pop to it if you always out.
It's a
But
crackle.
the flex of the Kendrick Lamar
Yeah.
revelation
Mm-hmm.
is the unexpected pop out.
Yeah.
But it's unexpected if you can control your triggers. So, my encouragement to you, it's time to mature. Stop letting him or her trigger you. You'll be all right. Delete the number. Move on. Don't give them that power no more. And here's the thing. The answer to your prayer may be connected to your maturity. Maybe God can't give you what you want because you keep getting triggered by yesterday. And the worst thing you can do is go into tomorrow still being triggered by yesterday. You won't even appreciate tomorrow because you still being triggered by yesterday. Let's let yesterday go. God's got a whole thing in store for you, but you can't keep getting triggered.
Yeah.
Be sober, child. As always,
Be sober.
be sober, child.
That's a T-shirt right there. Be sober, child.
So we got be
Sober
sober,
up.
child. Trigger happy, Trigonomics.
Oh, yeah.
The merch is flying everywhere. The merch is flying tonight. As always, choose life, fam.
Yes.
We'll see you back here at the table soon. Peace.